Which grip should you hold in pickleball? Does it even matter? I'm here to tell you that it does. Pay attention to this comprehensive grip guide. I'll show you which grip to hold and let you know why you might be holding the wrong one. So before I show you all the different grips and why you should use them, let's go over hand placement because it's so important. And we'll also review how to line up your hand on the paddle based on numbers that I'll explain in just a minute. So the first thing you want to know in order to hold the proper grip is this is your index knuckle right here, and this is your heel pad. Pretend there's an imaginary line right here between your index knuckle running down to your heel pad. That's where you want the grip of the paddle to be. So if I'm to place my paddle in my hand, I want this line of the grip to line up again with my index knuckle and my heel pad right here. So this is how it will line up regardless of the grip that I hold. So this is the butt of the grip or the butt of the handle of the paddle. And we need to imagine that there's numbers around it like a clock. Up at the top we have number 1, number 2 here, number 3, number 4, number 5, all the way around to number 8 before we get back to number 1. So each grip that I explain in this tutorial will show which number you should hold. For example, if we're to hold number 1 right here, we would again take our index knuckle and heel pad and put them along number 1 of the grip. So index knuckle here, heel pad here, and that would be holding number 1. Now I'll explain which number you should hold according to which grip you'll be holding. This is a Continental Grip, and it's the most common grip in pickleball, and I would suggest that you start out using this grip. I like to refer to it as home base. So in order to hold this grip, picture like you were hitting a hammer, so if I was to grab it, but let's line it up on the numbers. So again, like we explained, we have number 1 here at the top, number 2 right here in the corner. We line up our index knuckle and our heel pad with number 2 for a Continental Grip. So my index knuckle goes here, this line, number 2, and my heel pad goes directly beneath it. And now I'm holding a Continental Grip. So the strengths of the Continental Grips are low balls and actually hitting backspin or slice. They're really good for that. The weaknesses, unfortunately, of a Continental Grip are being able to hit topspin. You can hit topspin with the Continental Grip, but not as well as some others. And then also getting power and hitting high balls. So the direct opposite of its strengths. So this will help you determine, should I hold a Continental Grip? Let's go over a few more of the grips and then you can decide what you want to hold. So currently I'm holding a Continental Grip. It's pretty windy out here, but I want to explain. This is so versatile. I can use it for just about everything. If you're holding Continental, you can use it from the baseline all the way up to the kitchen line and for just about every shot. If I was to get a dink or a low ball, Continental would be perfect for me to hit that ball. If I was to get a high ball, Continental is a great grip for that too, to just put the ball away. That's why I would suggest Continental for anybody that's starting out. You can do just about every shot with it and then work your way up to another. This is an Eastern forehand grip. So before we were at Continental, which is slightly this way, now we're at Eastern. I'll explain how to get there. So again, 1, 2, Eastern, we're on number 3, which is right here on the side. So that lines up directly on this line right here. Okay, index knuckle, heel pad, and now we're sitting in an Eastern grip. I use this the majority of the time because it's so versatile, but I did start out with a Continental Grip. Now that I'm at Eastern, I'll explain its strengths and also its weaknesses. So this Eastern forehand grip has a lot of strengths. One is I feel like I can get more power on the ball by holding it kind of behind the face of the paddle here. Another thing that I can do is get a little bit more topspin on the ball than I can in a Continental Grip. Other things is I can use it for basically any of my shots, but one of the issues with this and one of the big weaknesses is a backhand roll or a backhand attack. I kind of get locked when I try to hit a backhand attack, and it forces that ball to go up rather than put a little bit more topspin on this backhand side and go down. So just keep in mind that you can get more power on this, you can get more topspin, but anytime you want to hit a backhand, especially a backhand hard, you might have some issues if you're holding this Eastern forehand grip. Now I'm currently holding an Eastern forehand grip. I can do just about everything Continental does, but there is one issue with it, like I explained, and that's hitting a backhand roll. If you feed me a ball with that, it makes it a little bit more difficult because that ball goes up a little bit too high before it goes down, because with this grip, my face is going and pointing up. So instead, if I was to switch to Continental just for that shot, which I do, I'm able to hit that ball down before it goes up and get a little bit more power on it. So I do use an Eastern forehand for everything except for an attackable backhand. That's when I have to make the decision and my mind has to tell my hand it's time to switch to Continental, make that attack, and then go back to an Eastern forehand. It's not for everyone. That's just what I use and it works for me. So again, for anyone just starting out playing pickleball, even if you've only been playing for about 6 months, I would suggest either Continental or Eastern forehand grip. But there are some others we can get into. This is more rare, but this is a semi-Western forehand grip. We're gonna move now to number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Puts us right here. It's this line. We'll line up our index knuckle and our heel pad, and it looks a little bit crazy, but the main purpose of this semi-Western forehand is to put a lot more topspin on the ball. So one of its big strengths when we use this grip is we can get some good topspin on it regardless of where we are on the court. Keep in mind that this semi-Western grip can be difficult for low balls because it puts my wrist in an awkward position and it's hard to get to some of those. Sometimes balls will end up in the net more often than not. So it's a lot more inconsistent, I would say. But with practice, it's a good grip to hold if you're working on getting some really good topspin on the ball. Now this is the most extreme forehand grip. It's the Western forehand grip. I'm actually holding on the underside. So if we go to number 5, it's in the exact opposite location of number 1. 1's up top, 5's all the way down here on the bottom. If I line up my index knuckle and heel pad down there, I'm holding it like this and I'm contacting the ball over on this face of the paddle. So it's kind of a strange one. You can get extreme topspin if you want to. And again, it's very rare. I don't suggest using this, at least not in the beginning. There are a few people that use this on the pro circuit. One in particular I can think of is Riley Newman, and it works out well for him, but he has some weaknesses also because of this grip that he holds. So the weaknesses of a Western, this is a full Western forehand grip, would be similar to a semi-Western, except even more extreme. You're gonna miss more balls, you're gonna be even more inconsistent, and you're not gonna have a ton of power. You lose a lot of power. Where you gain topspin, you lose the power. Those that use a full Western forehand grip typically struggle with hitting overheads and getting power on them and putting the ball away. Unless they can take the time to twist around and hold a different grip, it's typically an issue and they're not putting away balls that they should be able to put away. So you're sacrificing one thing for another, and it's certainly not for everyone. Again, it's pretty rare in pickleball. Now I'm holding a semi-Western forehand. I don't ever use this grip. It's really inconsistent for me. I haven't taken the time. But if you want to get extreme topspin, if you throw me a ball for a dink, this will give you extreme topspin, but like you saw right there, you'll also make a lot of mistakes down into the net because your paddle face is literally pointing down. Same thing if I go to a Western, a full Western, my paddle is really pointing down. So you gotta be able to train it and hit over and over in order to get the ball over the net. If you can consistently do that and get that extreme topspin, puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. I do not suggest using either of these, but if you do, if you want to go out there and do that, I would suggest practicing it a ton before you bring it out to a tournament. Now I'm going to go over backhand grips. Which one should you hold and why? Here we go. So let's go over the 3 most important backhand grips. These are the only 3 used really in pickleball. First is Eastern. So in order to get an Eastern backhand grip, we again find the butt of the paddle and go to number 1, right here at the top. Same thing with your dominant hand, just like with your forehand. Knuckle, heel pad lines up, and this gives me an Eastern backhand grip. So an Eastern backhand hits a relatively flat ball. It's okay for topspin. You can get some decent power on it. It's also okay for slice, something that an Eastern backhand does. Eastern backhand also has some weaknesses, the biggest one of those being high balls. Being able to put away an overhead or a higher ball at your body. You don't have as much strength if you're using an Eastern backhand. But this is the #1 grip to use if you have a one-handed backhand. I would definitely suggest using Eastern backhand. So in this example, I'm holding an Eastern backhand. If you want to hit a one-handed backhand, this is the way to go. This will also take some practice and a little bit of wrist strength. So the Eastern backhand, one-handed, can give me a really good drive as well. This is a semi-Western backhand, not quite as common, but it's really good for getting more topspin. In order to get to that, you find the butt of your paddle. Here's #1. We're gonna go backwards over here to #8. Line up index knuckle and heel pad on #8 right here, and that gives us a semi-Western backhand. Again, real good for topspin. One of the issues with this and a big weakness is you don't have as much power when hitting this. You're not gonna have a ton of power because you'll need a lot of wrist strength and or arm strength in order to do so. So that's a weakness that this has. Also, you'll be hitting a few more balls down and into the net because you're getting more topspin on the ball. But with practice, it can also be a good one-handed backhand to hold. A semi-Western backhand does the same thing for me that an Eastern backhand does, except more extreme. I'm able to put more topspin on it. My paddle face is farther down. Keep in mind, like I've mentioned, one of the weaknesses is you might hit some more balls into the net. The final backhand grip I want to explain, and it's the most popular right now, especially for better players, is a two-handed backhand. And it has a lot of strengths and only a few weaknesses. So if you're trying to transition from a one-handed to two-handed, that's awesome, keep working on it. I'm trying to work on it myself. In order to hold it, you can go #2 or 3 with your dominant hand. In other words, you can hold Continental or you can hold Eastern, but with your non-dominant hand, you're gonna wanna choke up here on the head of the paddle, just like this. Choke up about as far as you can and then put your dominant hand on. With a two-handed backhand, your left hand or non-dominant hand should be doing the majority of the work, and your dominant hand just kind of helps it along and stabilizes it. Topspin, versatility, consistency, control. These are the 4 strengths of a two-handed backhand. I love having the control and being able to put the ball where I want it with a two-handed backhand. The main weakness of a two-handed backhand is not being able to reach out to a ball that you can with your dominant hand or with a one-handed backhand. So it definitely limits the reach, but other than that, I mean, that's really its only weakness. I would definitely suggest practicing, getting out there, trying to hold a two-handed backhand and see your game grow. Now with the two-handed backhand, again, I do feel that this is the most consistent. You can still do the same stroke you would do with one hand. The best way to practice a two-handed backhand is by holding the left hand as I've explained, but hitting it with one hand. Hit it with your non-dominant hand only. Focus on practicing just with that non-dominant hand until you get a feel for it, and then bring your second hand on the paddle for stability and do that same stroke as before, over and over, low to high, and you'll see that consistency go up and up. Once the consistency goes up, then focus on more power, 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 and then that two-handed backhand can be really dominant for your game. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful for everyone. I know for me, when I first started out, I really needed to know what grip to hold. This can definitely better your game. Go out there, try these grips, see what works best for you, and then hold on to it and keep using it. As always, please like and subscribe. It helps me create more valuable content just for you.